I want to add one more thing while it's on my mind, is that same therapist, I don't know why this is tying together with that, but like I remember when I was telling, he would ask me about the men. He asked me, and I only had a few sessions with him. He was amazing. He was a cool ass dude. I did feel like he tried to probe me to give him information that I wasn't comfortable with. However, I understand it's also kind of part of the job he was like, he gave me really, really good prices because I was working at the time, but I couldn't afford like hundreds of dollars for therapy. And so he had like a license, and he also was like a lawyer or something like that. But he was a positive influence, and he gave me a lot of information that kind of like made me think and stuff like that. So, I remember him asking me, what were the first things that came to mind when I think about masculinity, and would ask me about the men in my life, and he said, I'm concerned for you because you don't have a lot of positive male influence in your life. And I didn't have enough conversations with him for me to like reflect on that, because it's true, growing up, like with my dad, that dynamic has changed now. So I do think it's healthier than it was, as I've worked on my own healing, I guess, but, and speaking up for myself and stuff like that, but also, yeah, just having negligence growing up. And then, I don't know, the last thing I want to do is, I don't want to throw people under the bus, but anyways, even with my brother, it was a lot of sarcasm and like, I didn't have a relationship with him really, with either my brother or my dad. And I remember my brother not really being there for me when I was like when my mom was like attacking me or whatever. And so, and I understand him he wanted to protect himself, so he didn't want to get in the middle of it. And, but anyway, so those were the main influences. And then, like I said, at my school, the guys who get spoiled, like they're not, anyway, I wasn't attracted to that, but it made me think about the fact that like when I had these different experiences with like brothers, like guys that I like, that I hung out with, some of the guys that I hung out with, I think it's been a mix, but like in college, the main group of friends I had was a group of guys, and I got insider information from them, and they were cutthroat. They were like one of the guys was like, who I had a mad crush on because he was an Aquarius, of course, because he was like just an outside the box thinker, and I was like, oh my god. And he like did inline skating, and I was like, oh my god, you're so cool. Anyway, but he told me, he was like, if you need to get a guy's attention, grab him by the balls and look him in the eyes or something like that. And he's like, but it was like, I'm so grateful for those experiences that I've had. And I have a mentor group. We don't get together very often, but it's all guys. I think we're all Aries and Aquarius too, which is interesting. It's a very power team energy. But anyway, that's just how it worked out. And it's just like a little session online. It's not like a group that I meet with very often, but it even just being in those spaces helps me to see and experience and feel safe and comfortable around healthy masculinity and see what it looks like, and that there's a desperate need for that for everybody. We all need that. We have to have examples. Like, I grew up having my grandmother, and then I had different experiences with women, seeing them and being around them, that women that were doing their own Nine of Pentacles energy, doing their own thing, and not being with men, because my mom was not a good, healthy role model. She would fight with my dad and let him have his way, and then she stayed with him, and then it was extremely traumatic and unhealthy and dangerous, and dangerous is kind of sometimes it felt that way. I didn't feel safe in that setting. So and then all this stuff about money, like having just such a warped like relationship to money and how you can make it on your own. Like there's a lot of that healing and from my mom's side of the family. Like the women, it's weird because my grandmother didn't seem to have a bad relationship with that, but like all of the women have a very like, I'm already speaking about this, have like a very Jezebel energy. And but it's sad in a way because it's like it gives you this like desperation then to like seek men and get money or like do whatever you have to do to get money. And it's like that's what I'm trying to heal, because I don't want to be, I want to attract, I want to magnetize things and be in abundance, not be afraid of like of lack all the time. So I'm very grateful that for my, I don't know where I would be if it weren't for my grandmother helping to raise me and teach me. And then also having those, and when I was a kid, we had our two guys who were neighbors, and I played with them. And there were different guys that I experienced that I played with as a young girl, whatever, growing. And then like, and even in college, those guys, there was the one guy, like I said, that I had a crush on, that like, it never got romantic, but I never kissed him or anything like that. But I did have that, like, I remember we danced together one time and I kind of had that feeling toward him, but we never became anything. And then there was one other guy in the group that I found out had feelings for me, and that did make a weird, like, energy with the group, because it became like a competition thing. And then but I didn't pursue that with him either. And I didn't like hang out with them all the time. It wasn't like it showed me that it's like women still hold the standard of like what we're okay with putting up with. And also men have to grow up at some point and want to become accountable, and that's not my job. That's their shit. That's all them. I have nothing to do with that. It's not you being playing fucking victim like a child. It's the most childish thing that you can do. Like those guys, none of those guys when I was around them were playing victim. Okay, thank you. I was like trying to like get the full picture here. That's something that they do with women to try to get something from you, to try to like get your attention, to try to keep you around or whatever. Because when I was with all those guys in that group, they weren't playing. They would talk about relationships, but they weren't like whining and complaining about the fact that they weren't with those women anymore. And then the one guy was like, all he would talk about is like wanting to rip women's clothes off, and I was like, okay, like you're not someone that I would want to be with, like, ew. Well, that's fine to have a high sex drive, but I was like, it made me very uncomfortable in that way. But as a friend, he was cool. They sent me flowers, like they were just one time, like it wasn't, but they knew that I had never gotten flowers for Valentine's Day before, and so they sent me a bouquet one time, like. It showed me that there's a level of like women holding the standard, and then there's an even greater element of like men have to want to change. Men have to want to grow up, to hold themselves accountable. That just even in that saying that about the victim mentality is so wrong. It's so wrong for men to do that to women. It's because they don't want to feel the pain. They don't want to feel rejection. They don't want to have heartache again. Like nobody wants to have that, but women are out here being courageous and throwing themselves back, like continuing to take it on, and so it's incredibly imbalanced. Yeah, I'm very grateful for those experiences, because men also have the capacity to be incredibly nurturing and loving and supportive and protective, especially protective. Like if you don't want to be protective towards me, like there's something really, really wrong. If you want to put me in a fight mode, there's something really, really wrong. That's not normal. Okay. Thanks for listening.